Think International. Sean here, thinking now for tomorrow with Andrew Arthur, the church planner of Hallows Church that just arrived in Seattle. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. My wife and my 6-month-old daughter, Delaney, we moved to Seattle from Birmingham, Alabama about a month ago. We are in the process of planting the Hallows Church in the Fremont-Wallingford neighborhood, and about 2 weeks ago we started meeting with a team of people that the Lord has been sort of assembling together, people who've learned about the plant, have kind of caught the vision of the plant and have wanted to learn more about it and pray about helping us get this thing started.
Yeah. Well, tell me, what made you say you're in Alabama and you just start feeling called? What's kind of the short story about how God brought you here?
Sure. Well, originally we were in New Orleans, Louisiana. We were serving in Uptown near Tulane University doing collegiate ministry, and the Lord sort of used our time there to craft the kind of area that we wanted to plant and pastor in. Uptown New Orleans is it's a very spiritual place, very secular, strong university presence, eclectic community, and so we knew that that was the kind of area that we wanted to be in. And about the time our journey in New Orleans was coming to a close, I got a call from a church in Birmingham called the Church of Brook Hills, pastored by a man named David Platt, and they called and said that they wanted to start a church planting strategy. They wanted to be more aggressive about it, and they asked if we'd pray about coming and being a part of it. Their goal and vision was to invest in people who would then in turn plant churches in underreached contexts in North America and then unreached contexts around the globe. They wanted us to pray about planting in an underreached context, and underreached in comparison with the Southeast. Most of that would consist in the Northeast and the Northwest and Middle America to some degree. And so we moved back to Birmingham, joined the staff of the Church of Brook Hills to get ready to plant a church. When we arrived in Birmingham, we didn't know what city specifically. We looked at several places. Over a course of about a 6 to 8 month journey of prayer and discernment and visiting places, we settled in the Wallingford, Fremont area of Seattle.
Wow, love it. Now, you're just you've been here how long?
A month.
You've been here just 1 month, and you've kind of been in this process for a little while now. What's like a big takeaway from this experience that would maybe be useful to somebody else in a similar situation when it comes to church planning, going to a new place?
I think it starts with being convinced you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why a guy from Louisiana / Birmingham, Alabama, trying to plant a church in Seattle, Washington, there are a lot of reasons why that should not work out, why that should fail.
Sure.
But we're convinced that the Lord has been preparing us for this plant for going on 10 years now of prayer and discernment, trying to figure out how the Lord would have us serve Him. And so we came to a point where we were convinced, saying, oh, yes, we're going there, believe that's the city we are to plant. We believe that the Lord is at work there, and there's obvious movement, that's gospel movement that's taking place in other churches and other church plants. I mean, it's been a hotbed of church planting over the past few years, and we wanted to join that. We know God is at work here, and we wanted to be a part of it. And so after becoming convinced that this was a city we wanted to plant in, since arriving here, the journey has really consisted of learning to be flexible. Church planting flexibility is really an unavoidable part of it.
Sure.
Kind of learning the lesson of Proverbs 16:9 that says, many are the plans in a man's heart, but the Lord determines his steps. We've no doubt come here with a bunch of plans, but we're learning how to adjust those plans as the Lord determines our steps. For example, when we got here, we know what the housing market and living situation is like in these areas, so we assumed that we'd be renting into the community, trying to get settled and acclimated and figure out things from there. But now we're purchasing, and we were at one hand we were going to rent in Wallingford and get settled that way, but now we're buying in Fremont because that seems to be what we sense the Lord leading us to do. The provision was there, and so that's been a huge adjustment for my wife and I, but we're excited about it.
Love it. Now, I know that some people would think that this is a crazy thought, but I guess some people believe that there are cultural differences between Alabama and the Northwest. I know that's an amazing thought, but would you agree with that's true? And what do you see? Is that?
Yeah, I would say there's some significant cultural differences. Seattle's, particularly Wallingford, Fremont's much more similar to uptown New Orleans than it is Birmingham, Alabama. And Birmingham, a lot more fried food there than there is in Wallingford, Fremont.
Have you found any fried food here?
I haven't looked that hard, to be honest with you. I'm not that big of a fried food fan.
Oh, you're not missing it? Okay.
I'm not.
All right, anything else? One other major culture difference at all?
Well, Alabama's a red state, Washington's a blue state, and that creates its own unique kinds of conversations and assumptions that people make of those of us moving from Alabama and those of us coming here, how people perceive us and how we perceive them. So trying to not allow those kinds of things to affect our gospel witness.
Yeah, definitely. I may have actually seen somebody from Alabama. There was a truck with a Confederate flag and shotgun shells hanging, like not just shells, but live rounds hanging in the window, and various, stickers that said "Drive it like you stole it." Would that ever show up in Alabama?
It may. I've been surprised at the number of trucks in Washington, in Seattle. I've seen a lot more than I was expecting.
I didn't want to mess with this guy.
I wouldn't either. Yeah. But I'm originally from Louisiana, so I guess my exposure to Alabama is kind of limited. But I did see a lot of shotgun shells, and North Louisiana is like that as well. Shotgun shells, trucks with gun racks in the back window. You don't see a lot of that here.
No, less. Lastly, people want to connect with you. They want to connect with what you're doing. Where are you at? Social, web?
Well, right now our website is in process of being put together. It should be launched in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Eventually it'll be called hallowschurch.org. Okay. Meanwhile, we have Twitter. You can follow Hallows Church, at Hallows Church for Twitter, at AG Arthur, which is my Twitter account, as well as the Hallows Church Facebook page, which has a little bit of information there. But all of those service connecting points, they can get you connected further to us by providing you with email addresses and phone numbers and that sort of thing that they may need.
Love it. Well, Andrew, so excited. Thanks for telling us a little bit about Hallows. Think International, thinking now for tomorrow.